Working on this 2012 Chevy Traverse 3.6 liter, and the starter would go click, and then all of a sudden you'd hit it again and it would start. So we know it needs a starter. I'm going to show you how we approach that and how we get that done. So follow along. First off, you're going to go into the passenger side. Open the back door on the passenger side, and you're going to pull up the floor cover. And after you pull up the floor cover, right here is a battery cover, and it just snaps right out of there. And then take the negative terminal off and place it off to the side. Shut the door, and now let's go up top. The next thing you're going to do is go straight down here, right down there, and let's see the oil filter? On the front side of that is a motor mount nut, 18 millimeter, and you're going to want to take that off. 1/2 inch extension, 18 millimeter, straight down just in front of the oil filter, and loosen it up. You don't have to take it all the way off because it's a long way to reach down there. Get it most of the way up, and then you're going to grab it from underneath the car when we take the motor mount bracket out. So let's take it up and do that. Up, you can see we have a under the engine supported on the oil pan with a block of wood right there. And then we can probably reach over the top of this thing really tight. My hands aren't quite that skinny. You would think you'd be able to reach over the top. You can on the inside, and take that 18 millimeter nut off the top of the motor mount. And then there's an 18 on the bottom right here that I've already removed. You could take the cat out, but in most places they're pretty rusty and would be a little difficult. This one, we're in Florida, so it isn't, but I'm doing it this way anyway. So once you get that off and you get the 18 mil nut off the bottom of this, you've got 15 mils on the bottom of your bracket going to your block there. Let's find that handy dandy ratchet here and take that off. Two on the bottom, and then there's going to be one up top. Let me get a light so hopefully I can see that top one up there and get that out of our way. Going up in between this side of the subframe, and then on this side you're going to need 1/2 inch extension, 15 millimeter socket to get the top bolts out of there. There's going to be 2 on that bracket. Once you get them loose, or loosen both of them, you can kind of see the other one right by the manifold there. Can't get on it, so let me see. We'll probably reach it up through here on the bottom there. Let's see if that's going to work. And a short 15 will probably work on that, which I did have a MIDI sitting here. Might be able to get a battery ratchet up in there too and get that out. Most of the way anyway. And we got that one out. Now let's go back working on that other 15 that's up there. Make sure we got all the weight off of our system here. Yep, we're wiggling around pretty good. It's like that mount might be broken. You really can't see this bolt that I'm talking about. You're just feeling your way around, especially when your light falls and hits the ground. It may be all the way off, but I'm making sure. We're going to say that that's probably it. Let's see. Yep, she's out. Now, let's see if it holds true that you'll be able to lift up the bracket there a little bit. And possibly the mount too. And get it twisted out of there. Push our motor mount straight back. Well, light doesn't want to stay in a position where I can see, but we're trying to wiggle the bracket out. There's that bolt up top that was still in there. Let's see. All right, once you twist the bracket up at an angle, we should be able to get our motor mount out, I hope. Ah. So close. There, you push that bracket, and this motor mount is busted. So we're going to talk to him about replacing that while we got it out. I'm going to turn some fans on here in Florida. It's getting hot already. Now you're going to wiggle that out, and that's the bracket I've been after. Now we should be able to get right to our starter up there. Up into here, you're going to see the knock sensor right up there and a plug that plugs it in. I'm going to remove the knock sensor because you don't want to break it, and that's going to be a 13 mil. Let's get our Milwaukee 3/8 ratchet up in there. These make things so much easier. Wish we had these in the 80s. Okay, so we've got our knock sensor out. Now you're going to want to unplug. Our starter wires here, walking back and forth. It's got a retaining clip there we need to get out. Let's see here. We're unplugged. Now on top of that is a 13 mil as your battery power. I believe it's a 13. Let's find out. Can I get up in there? Well, not with that, I can't get up in there. All right, this is where MIDI sockets, mid-range size, come in handy. Let's find my 13. Whoops. I believe we got it broke loose. Not quite broke loose enough. Let's try that. Tight quarters. Well, well, well. So that is a 13. And it's just about out of there. Power wires out. Now let's see about getting to these others. I believe we're going to be talking about some 15 mils. But, let's see here if we can get a better camera position of that. Because I can't actually see the camera. I just know it's playing. Got 2 bolts on that thing. Once you break them loose, should be able to zing them out of there. Like so, and pull your starter out. Now, new starter part number is a DL5102S. That's AutoZone Duralast. Make sure everything's right. Get the nut off of it here, the new one. Let's stick our starter up inside. Flywheel looks a little bit sharp, but not bad. Let's turn the bottom one in some. Alright, let's see if I can get this one straight. Right now they're tight with the battery ratchet. Now we'll test them with a regular ratchet. Okay, now that we've got that, let's get our battery wire back on. Our lock nut and our 13 mil. Quarter inch would probably work a whole lot better putting this in, by the way. Okay, got it most of the way by hand. Our short 3/8 ratchet. This is these super long ones. Yep, I'm gonna get my quarter inch out. I don't have a, well, I do have a midi and a quarter, I think. 13, let me see. Got a midi snap-on. Yeah, that should work. I think it's deep enough. Much better. Oh yeah. Now the plug and then putting the knock sensor back in. Let's index this. Starter plug straight down. 13 mil, and then they're going to figure out what our torque spec is for our knock sensor. I got to stop and go do that. I need to take a lunch break anyway. Okay, so I got that started. I'm going to torque that and move our camera out of there, and we're just going to continue on. Hopefully you can see this. It's 17 foot-pounds on the knock sensor. Next, we're going back with that bracket. I had to take it down and I had to clean it because it was so dirty, filthy. But I got to order a motor mount, so we got to stop, talk to the customer about that. I've actually got this thing in focus. If that beginning's out of focus, I'm sorry about that. So we got a motor mount from Napa. It's a 602 2722 mount that goes in there. And as soon as I find out where I threw the dang thing down, I'll grab it and put it in. All right, so we're twisting the bracket, and we're hoping we don't have to drop the subframe and get it out the same way that we took it apart, because it is tight fit. You got to get it just right. I believe it can be done. I ain't 100% sure about that, but just trying to find the bottom hole of the motor mount to get it into the subframe here, which I just did. And now can we get the bracket high enough to get it in there is the next question. Some of the stuff is right in my way. So it seems to me that we're going to have to drop the subframe on one side and stick it up in there. So we're going to do that. I decided to go ahead and drop the subcradle. Just 2 bolts here and the long bolt through bolt, 2 bolts here and the throw bolt, putting this down here to hold everything up. Then you can put your motor mount in and line everything up. Really easy like. And just put it back up. So there's 2 15s. Just want to get that somewhat lined up anyway. Let me run these in. Those are, what were they again? Oh, 21s. You are not quite started. There we go. Get all these bolts started. All right. A little more work than I thought. But it's not bad dropping that cradle. It worked out well for me anyway. Once that's back in, subframe's back in, we'll remove this. I've got my 2 bolts in my bracket in the bottom. The one nut here, and there's going to be a nut on top. The one on the side. The one that went all the way through the front there, I'm going to try to get that one from up top, the one that you can't see, just to see if that works out better. Now we can remove this once those are tight and set our motor down on top of our motor mount. That way we'll get this thing out of the way. Let's grab our 18 that goes straight up through here. And there's one on the side, remember? And I did that with a short 15 millimeter. I think I've set aside here somewhere. Here we go. Let's go ahead and tighten that one up. Now I'm going to check them once again with a regular ratchet. Oh, that's tight. Now we're going to go upstairs and do the rest of it. A no-go on that 15 millimeter bolt going through the side. We're going to go ahead and tighten this one, then we're going to have to take it back up and get that one started. It's going to be a blind hole. I don't want to tighten that top one with an impact because I don't want to take the chances of it being too tight and breaking off. So the long extension down, that 18 millimeter just behind the oil filter. Once again. Yeah, we'll grab that from down to the bottom and get that last bolt and get it tightened up. 15 millimeter socket and an extension on a 3/8. And you reach, you look up in through here, and then you reach your hand up through the inside of the subframe, and then you come across in between the exhaust and the bracket. You can just get your hand up in there and you can feel the hole and get it started. That's how I did that. You cannot do it from up top. Pretty good long bolt. Okay. Oh. So that's in there. Now we gotta let it down, hook up the battery, and start her up. Passenger rear door open. Get this battery connected. $10mm on that. Get my tools together here. And then obviously I've got the camera kind of far away, but I'm going to bring that camera in just a minute. Let's just hit the key and listen to this thing start. We started her up twice and that's perfect. She's running fine. Now we're going to bring that camera up in here, show you that cover a little better. Let me get a light for that, because I didn't show you that in the beginning of the video. And up. Right there, okay. See if my camera's gonna... And you got this cover right here. It lays up in there. Goes up underneath this piece right here. And that sits there. Then you've got a little plastic piece that was up over the top of that right here. And let's see how it goes. Just like that. Anyway, we gotta line it up. There's some push tabs on it. It's being a pain in the butt, so that's gotta go up in there. So we do have a fix on a 2012, probably to 2017-18 Chevy Traverse. Starter replacement. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, join, all those good things. Thank you.